In this lesson, we're going to learn about viewport navigation in the Unreal Editor. Alright, so in the perspective view, in our viewport, we want to learn how to move around throughout our level. So that way we can see the other side of these chairs and see different parts of our level as we're working. So to get started, let's hold down the left mouse button. And if you simply drag around, this will allow you to move the camera forward and backward, and also allow you to look left and right. So go ahead and take some time to kind of learn how that works there. And you can see as you drag around, you can navigate through the level pretty quickly. Now if you hold down the right mouse button, this will rotate the viewport right where the camera is sitting. So it's kind of like you're looking around in place, just moving your head. Now we also have the ability to pan the camera around. You can do this by holding down the left mouse button and the right mouse button and dragging around. And this will pan the camera in a parallel fashion to where the camera is looking. So this is a very quick way to just kind of to pan down to see underneath this table, or to pan up to see above the table. Alright, so now we also have the ability to focus in on selected objects. So if you select one of these chairs and hit the F key, that will focus in on that. And this is going to be an extremely helpful tool for getting around your level very, very quickly and getting to exactly what you want. Now remember, you can select objects from your scene outliner. So right up here at the top, if I select, let's say, the player start, and then I hit F on the keyboard, notice how it focuses in on that. So this is a great way of getting around. Alright, now let's talk about using these exact same mouse controls in the orthographic views. Now right now we've been in the perspective view, but the orthographic views, if we left click on this maximize and restore, are the side, front, and top views. So these are orthographic. And if we hold down the left mouse button in one of these orthographic views and we drag, this is going to create a marquee selection. So this allows us to select multiple objects in the level. Now if we hold down the right mouse button in one of these orthographic views and we drag around, this will pan the camera. Okay? And then if we hold down the right mouse button and the left mouse button and we drag, this will zoom in that viewport. Okay? Notice how in the orthographic views we cannot rotate the camera in that. There's no reason to. Okay? We're looking through the side, front, and top viewports. These are going to be really helpful for us whenever we need to make selections and position certain objects in our level. Now let's go ahead and re-maximize, or actually just maximize the perspective view by just left-clicking on the Maximize and Restore Viewport button. Alright, so now let's talk about another method of moving around in our perspective view. And that can be done by using the W, A, S, and D keys. This is the fly-through controls. Now in order to use the W, A, S, and D keys, you need to hold down the right mouse button. So hold that down and then use your W key to move forward, the S key to move backward, the A key to move to the left, and the D key to move to the right. Now while still holding down that right mouse button, you can still move your camera around. So that allows you to rotate in place. But then you can use your W key to move forward and rotate at the same time. So this allows us to quickly get around our level. Now when using that fly-through mode, we can change our camera speed, and that will speed things up or slow things down. So if I take this all the way down to 1, hold down that right mouse button and use the W key, notice how much slower the camera is moving. Now if I take that all the way up, in this case, to 8, notice how quickly that goes. That can get a little confusing at first if we have such a small level. So normally 4 is a good place to stay. Alright, so that is the WASD fly-through controls. Now let's talk about using orbit, dolly, and track. This is going to be very familiar for those who are used to using navigation in like 3D software programs like Maya or 3ds Max or even Softimage. So to orbit around an object in your scene, you'll simply need to select it, hit F on the keyboard to focus in on it, and then hold down Alt and the left mouse button. Notice how it rotates around that table. Okay, it's orbiting around that table. Now let's say that I select this chair and I hold down Alt and the left mouse button, notice that it's still orbiting around the table, not the chair. That F key is going to be pivotal in the process of orbiting around a specific object. So you need to select the chair, hit F to focus in on it, and then hold down Alt and the left mouse button. That will allow you to orbit around the chair now. Now let's talk about dollying the camera. This can be done by holding down Alt and the right mouse button, and this basically zooms out and zooms in based on the direction that you drag. Okay? Now you can also track the camera, which is basically panning, by holding down Alt and the middle mouse button. Okay? This is just like holding down the left mouse button and the right mouse button without Alt. Okay? Exactly the same. Alright, so now that we've talked about the standard controls in the perspective view and the orthographic views, the WASD fly-through controls and the orbit, dolly, and track, we want to move on into working with objects in our scene. So we're going to learn how to move, rotate, and scale objects, and then we'll also talk about using the world coordinates and also parenting those actors together. So just kind of a full-on lesson on how to manipulate objects in our levels. So we'll get into that next.